Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Make a Card Monday. It's Debbie Scott here, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Brigden, Ontario. Just bring up on my iPad here. Sounds like the audio is working. Looks good. All right, I am working with a fun new suite. It's actually a mega suite, Autumn Toile. And it is in our new mini catalog, September through December. So it's just started. And there's a great little overlook of it. It's got some beautiful papers in this suite. And if we turn the page, you'll see I said it was a mega suite because it has 2 stamp sets and die sets. So 2 bundles plus specialty paper plus the sheet. They've used your blends here as well and added some extra green lines on here. So that's really great. Here they've showed you die cut with that designer series paper, which is something I always kind of forget to do when it has that beautiful pattern on there. I forget to die cut with it sometimes, but it's a great page there to show you some different techniques. And then it shows you here how you can use it for home decor, because this tree image is really large, so you can use it nicely for some home decor pieces as well. One other thing about this suite is it coordinates with this month's Paper Pumpkin, which if you aren't a subscriber, you have 2 more days. You have until the 10th of September to subscribe for September's kit. And the sneak peek for this month was that it coordinates with this bundle, well, this suite. It looks like maybe it has some of that little fox in there, possibly. So if you're interested in that, let me know right away and I can help you get set up for that. Looks like it will be a great one to get. I'm excited for it. So as I mentioned, we have some great little streaked dots, I believe they are called, and I really like them. I've already used a whole row. I used it on some of my projects last week, and we're going to use those again today. Has this great ribbon, which I wasn't 100% sure, but I thought I'm going to get it and just try it out, and I really love it. I love the texture of it. It's not one that you probably would tie a bow with, but you'll see how I used it on the card today. And I also used it on my layout last week. Just folded it over and tucked it under and makes a great little element there. And then you can see there I've used the streak dots on that layout as well. So we're going to use some of that ribbon today as well. I'll just set that aside for a minute. I didn't get the second, where were we? Page 41, I believe. Yeah, I mentioned there's 2 bundles. So you get this stamp set, and then there's dies to cut out the tree and things. And then this stamp set here has some great little greetings in it. And this awesome die right here. I really just wanted this die. That's the closest to us, is every year on Thanksgiving weekend. And I just think that would be so great for scrapbooking some fall fair photos. And it's got this great gray granite pattern on the back there. And then that's the one that they showcased in the catalog, doing the one sheet wonder. It's a beautiful page as well. And then it's got that great Billy Espresso on the back. Then we have some nice pheasants here. This is a great suite for doing masculine cards. So if you have a hunter or just outdoorsy person in your life, this would be a great one. That's why I got it, is because I love to hike, and I have some great hiking photos that I can't wait to scrapbook with this. And then we have a little pattern on the back there. And then this one I just have 2 because this is the sheet that we're using today. It's got this cute little fox on here. So when I mentioned the paper pumpkin, I'm not sure if the paper pumpkin includes a fox or if they had die cut or fussy cut this little fox out that they had him there beside the paper pumpkin. So, and then a great stripe piece there. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, how I decided to use this is I went on to a global design project for this week. They put out a new challenge every week, and this one is GDP 513. That's a hashtag. If you want to play along, you can post your card or your scrapbook page. Sometimes people will do a scrapbook page that works with the challenge, and just use that hashtag, and then everyone can see what you've made. And the challenge for today is to use these three colors: Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, and Pecan Pie. Well, I thought that would be perfect with this sweet. There's no crushed curry in the sweet, but it definitely coordinates beautifully. So that is what I decided to do today, is make a card to go for my challenge. So the first thing that we are going to do is create a background. So I have two here because this one is kind of a technique where you just have to play around with it and get the look that you're going for. What we're going to do is we're going to color right on our block, and then we're going to put our block on here, and we're going to create a nice watercolor background. When you're coloring on your blocks, you can only use markers. You cannot do this with blends. If you don't have the markers and don't want to get them, you can also use reinkers. Our markers are on the last chance list. They're discontinuing the markers because people just haven't used them a whole lot since the blends come out, which I totally understand. Our blends are amazing and they're a lot nicer to color with than a water-based marker. But if you have them, then you can do this technique with those. If not, you can use reinkers. These are still available. I just checked before I came on, and all the color families are still available if you want to order them before they're gone. So I do have two different size blocks here, and I'm going to just show you one of each and kind of give you an idea, because this block is smaller than my background. I am using thick white cardstock, and it is 5 inches by 3 3/4. And I'm using thick because I'm doing a watercolor. So the regular white paper is just a little bit thin and it'll warp a lot. The thick just holds up a bit better. First thing I'm going to do is just pull out my stamp. Just so I can have it laying here, so I kind of have an idea of how big it is and that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm going to color right on to my block with that marker. So I'm just kind of seeing how far down I want to come. I'm using Cajun Craze here first. I'm just going all over the block. And then I'm going to take my crushed curry, and I'm going to add that in just where I haven't gone with the Cajun Craze. Looks pretty good. And then I have my pecan pie, and I'm going to do that kind of where the tree trunk is, and then along the bottom as well. Then I'm going to take my water spritzer. You may just want to have a Kleenex or a paper towel or something handy just in case you get water everywhere. And we're going to just spritz that. We want that ink to move around on the block. So it's kind of, as I said, you just kind of have to play around with this technique to see how much water to use, how much ink to use. Oh, look, I'm getting splatter on there, but that's okay. We're going to quickly turn it over. We're going to lay it down. All those colors are going to melt in together. We're going to let it sit for just a little bit there. This is where it's great to have paper towel or something where you can just dab up that extra water. Now let that sit while we do our next one. And as I mentioned, our markers are water-based, so are our re-inkers. So it cleans up super easy. Now I'm going to show you if we use a bigger block. So see on this one, it gives you the outline of the block, which this one I didn't get centered, but anywho, yeah, it shows you the outline of the block. So if you don't want that look, I'm going to try something a little different with this one. I'm going to do this one more tree shaped. I do want to go a bit bigger than the tree because I made a little mistake on one of my other ones, and it was a lot of white around the edge of the tree, which I don't really want that. I want all of my tree to be covered. I think that looks pretty good. And then again, I'm going to take my crushed curry. I think one of my other ones, I did more crushed curry. I think I did it first, more of the yellow, and it was kind of nice. This one, it really blends in together, right? So just kind of, you know, whatever look you want to go for. And then I'm going to put on some of my pumpkin or pecan pie. And then I'm going to spray with my water spritzer. And again, I did get some water or some color on there, so I'm just going to turn it over, although it looks completely fine. Here, I spritzed on there by accident. One nice thing about watercoloring is it's just kind of, it's messy, right? So it doesn't have to look perfect, which is perfect for me. Okay, so I want to make sure I get that pumpkin pie at the bottom. Oh, that one's kind of nice. The colors didn't like mush all together quite as much. I must not have used as much water. I'm just going to let that sit for a minute so it just, all the color soaks into the paper. And I got lots on that one too, so I'm just going to dab along the edge there. There we go. So that one, you can see, has more of a tree shape, right? There you can see where the trunk is. You can see the edge there. The edge of the, whoops, edge of the tree. And I'm going to clean up my mat. So I just set the tweezers on there to kind of flatten it out. There we go. And then I'm going to take my heat tool. And sorry, this will be a little bit loud, but I'm just going to heat it and dry out my paper a bit. Doesn't take very long at all. And the color will change a bit too as it dries. Almost done here. If you heat it from both sides, it won't get quite so warped. And then I'm going to attach it with dimensionals, so it's not a huge deal if it's a little bit like wrinkly. And we're going to distress it too. But before we do that, I'm going to stamp my tree on. So I'm using pecan pie ink. Keep wanting to say pumpkin. I just have one of the little mini Stampin' Spots in pecan pie. I don't have a full ink pad. These will come in the paper pumpkins sometimes or in some of the card kits. The only thing I recommend with these is that you store them upside down. So with our regular ink pads, the way you open them, they are stored upside down so that the ink pools at the top of the ink pad. So these ones don't, just because they're little baby ones, but I just store them upside down on my desk. I'm just going to go over my tree all over, and I just want to be careful not to miss anywhere. And make sure that I have my pecan pie at the bottom. It's a big stamp, so we just want to make sure we get the center pressed down nicely. Perfect. And then I'm going to do this one as well while I'm doing it. So if you don't like that square look around your background, then you need a bigger block. I kind of liked it. At first, I thought, when I first made my background, I was like, oh, I don't really like that. So I grabbed a bigger block and tried again. And then when I made my practice card, I actually went with the one with the outline of the block, just because I like that white around the edge. So really just whichever way you like. There we go. I'm just going to grab my squeegee here and clean off my tree stamp just so I don't get that ink everywhere. So, what do you think? Which one do you like better? We are going to layer that over top of a piece of our Cajun Craze. I think I'm going to stick with this one, with the outline of the block. I'll make this one after, and I'll post them both, and you can see which one you like better. I like how it's white, a little bit white in here. I didn't get a lot of ink on both of them, but I just kind of like that border around. So we'll do that one and right now, and then I'll do the other one after. Looking for my scissors, I am going to distress the edge of my white. I do kind of keep an older pair of these snips for this job. I don't know if it dulls your scissors or not, but I thought just in case it does a bit. I already did it around the Cajun Craze DSP. You just have to be a little bit more careful with it because the paper is thinner. So as you see, I did rip it at the bottom, but I don't mind that because we're going for a distressed look anyway. So I think it looks okay. Kind of doing a little bit more in some spots than others. And as you see, I get this little white fluff all over the place, and it usually makes me sneeze. And that's just going right onto the floor for the vacuum. So that's going to lay over top. So I've cut a Cajun Craze card base, and it is a standard size card base. So I took a full sheet of cardstock, cut it in half at 5.5, scored it at 4 1/4, and that makes our card base. Now I did make the DSP to be exactly the same size, so it really doesn't matter what color of card base you use. I just had lots of this Cajun Craze, so I thought I might as well use that. But if you want to just use white, you can do that too. So this piece I'm just going to put on flat. Oh shoot. Oh, I've got it up a little bit high. Kind of hard when you're not right over top of it. Let's see. There we go. When you distress the edge of your DSP, you get that nice white border around it. I kind of like that. So then I'm going to put this on next. And yeah, I can do that next. I'm just going to use some dimensionals for that. I just like to use my take your pick tool just to get that backing off. Makes it nice and quick. So then, as I mentioned, I did die cut the mama and the baby deer, and I just did that in pumpkin or pecan pie. And before I put that on, I'm going to use my pecan pie ink and a blending brush and just put a little bit of color. Give them a little bit of dimension. So it's not looking all same color. As you see, I kind of tap off first and it gets rid of that harsh little bit of ink that's on there at first. And that's going to go across the bottom like that. And before I adhere that, that's where I'm going to add in this ribbon. And do it this way. Oh, one thing to note about this die is it doesn't cut along the bottom, which is nice because you can make this bottom piece as wide as you want. If you wanted to do it like across the bottom of your scrapbook page and you wanted it to be like 3 inches, you could cut this along the top and have that bottom 3 inches all cardstock to go all the way across. You can do that, or if you just want a tiny little bit, tiny little strip, you can do that too. I like that. They've come out with a few dies like that, and I really like that style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of tear tape. I don't know if you can hear my washing machine, but it just finished and it sings me a little song when it's done. Fairly loud. Just going to use my bone folder there and make sure that's on well and peel off the back. So I do want a bit of that to be showing. We're just going to overlap it just by a little bit. I think that looks straight. The tear and tape is a nice, super sticky adhesive. It just holds really well. And because there's so much texture in that ribbon, I thought that would be a good option. And also, it's just the perfect width for my little die cut piece. So then I'm going to put on a second piece and go over top of that ribbon this time. And I'm just looking to make sure I didn't forget anything. I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on my deer. I have a little half piece there, so putting that on this baby. Put these full ones on the mom. There we go. And then we're going to pull off the backing of that tear and tape. And that's just going to go towards the bottom of my card. Just need to trim this a little bit. There we go. And then for my sentiment. So as I mentioned, this stamp set doesn't have any words, but the one that, the second stamp set in this suite does have some nice sentiments. But I just pulled in mixed labels. This one is retired and it's all gone. The dies that matched it, which were just a bunch of different label dies, they are still available and they're on sale too. But I'm just, oh, I grabbed it already. I thought this would be a good sympathy card. So I'm going to use With Sympathy. And I'm going to stamp it in early espresso just so that it pops. A little darker than the pecan pie. But really, you could use this card for anything. Birthday card. You'll see here in a minute what I did with my other one. Now I'm just going to eyeball this. You can, of course, use your paper trimmer to get this perfectly straight. And then I'm just going to flag the end. Whoops, I cut a little bit too far there. But it looks okay, actually. There we go. And I'm just going to pop that up here in the corner. You could put some ribbon underneath there too, but I thought there was enough going on this card. Plus I'm going to add some of my dots. Clear some of this out of my way. I need this. This is quite a big package of dots, so I used quite a few. I used 5 on this card. I like to stick with odd numbers. There we go. What do you think? So the first card that I did, I actually did a retirement card because my father-in-law is retiring soon, and I thought this would be a perfect card for him. And I have this one still, so I'm going to make another one. I'm going to even do a birthday card for that one. So we have options. Alrighty, so thank you so much for watching, and I may scrapbook with this on Wednesday. I haven't decided, but come on back on Wednesday and see. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.